you're moving to Warrensburg, Missouri, or you're PCSing to Whiteman Air Force Base, and you don't know what this town is like or things that you should know before you get here, I can help you with that. Today, we are revisiting what to know before moving to Warrensburg 2.0. Here we go. Don't forget to like and subscribe right down below because I make a new video every single week. You're gonna wanna get notified. Also, my contact information is right down there. So if you're coming here and you have any questions, for example, I actually just talked to someone who's stationed in Germany and they're coming here next year and they just simply wanted to know about the schools and the daycares. Do not hesitate to reach out, send me an email, give me a phone call or a text. I really love talking to people and I probably have a video on it. Okay friends, today we're talking about what are the 10 things. I don't really want to do this because I broke a nail right before this video, but whatever. 10 things that you need to know before moving to Warrensburg, Missouri. So I did this video when I very first started this channel, seems like forever ago, but some things have slightly changed since then. So I wanted to kind of revisit 10 things to know before moving to Warrensburg with kind of an updated list. So let's jump right into it and do not skip over because number 1 is a doozy. So let's start things off with number 10. Warrensburg is a melting pot of people. That is kind of like the number 1 thing that I really tell my clients who are coming here so they know what to expect. We have both the University of Central Missouri, which has a very large international student population, and we have Whiteman Air Force Base. So we have this really cool conglomeration of people from all over the world, really, and all over the United States, who have different political views, who have different religions, who have different just education backgrounds and backgrounds in general and cultures. So a lot of times when people think like small Midwestern town, they think a stereotype of only one way of thinking or only one way of looking. And we are really lucky enough to have just a really cool feeling in our town of really togetherness. Oh my God, I sound like a hippie. But it's true. We have a really cool blending of people from all over the world, making our strong but mighty town have a really great soul and a really great culture. Moving on to number 9, and this will always be on this list because it's so important to people like myself who have a lot of kids. Daycare wait lists. So if you're coming to Warrensburg and you have children that are of an age where they need to be, or you want them to be in daycare, so a daycare in-home or at an establishment, we have wait lists. Now we have a lot of amazing daycares in both Warrensburg and Knob Noster. Actually, I'm gonna do a video on them soon, but all of them have wait lists. All of them are full, and all of them are full pretty much year round. So if you have children and you wanna put them in a daycare, make sure that you, ahead of time, put them on multiple wait lists. And that way, by the time you get here, you'll have childcare. Another really good thing to use actually that I found is on Facebook, there's a page called Warrensburg Babysitters page, and you can post in there asking or looking for daycare. So it's more in-home or for babysitters, but that's been a really good source of people for me when I'm looking for a babysitter. Moving on to number 8, we have restaurants. So a question that I actually get quite a bit is, what restaurants do you have in Warrensburg? And we have a mix. So we have quite a few local small business type restaurants, which I love. And then we have a very small amount of chains. So of course you have the regular fast food like Sonic, McDonald's, Taco Bell, Burger King, that type of thing, Chipotle. That one's very important to people. I don't personally understand it because I have a cilantro allergy, but people love their Chipotle. We do not have a KFC. That is a standard just fight on social media. We do not have a KFC or Chick-fil-A, but we have the rest of them. So we have a lot of really cool small business type restaurants. So Fitters, Raging Bull, Heroes, Old Barney's, Players. I'm like, who am I missing? I don't want to miss anyone. Sabai Thai, Oriental Cuisine, Ping's Hibachi. There's a new Japanese sushi restaurant that just opened up, Zydeco. So we have so many cool restaurants that are small businesses. We need an Indian food restaurant though. So if anyone out here in YouTube land wants to move to Warrensburg and open up an Indian restaurant, I would not be sad about it. Okay, moving on. Number 7, also talking about food, one of my favorite subjects, grocery stores. So the only grocery stores in town are, we have a Walmart and we have a Hy-Vee. We also though have some smaller, small business type grocery stores. So for example, in both Myers Market, 121 Farmhouse, or Tony's, there are small, almost like corner grocery stores that you would see in like a little neighborhood in New York or something like that, where you can go in and there's, a small selection of food and then usually farm to table fresh produce of some sort. So, and the farmer's market, don't forget the farmer's market. So during the season, you also have the farmer's market every Saturday and Wednesday evening. So you can find some really great things there. I try to personally, and this is gonna sound so snobby, but during farmer's market season, I try to buy all my produce and all of my protein from the farmer's market because it just makes me feel better. What can I say? I'm bougie. We do not have anything like Whole Foods though. So if you want something like a Whole Foods or a Trader Joe's or Costco, you're gonna have to drive up to the city. So moving on to number 6, and number 6 is community engagement. Now what does that mean? That sounds super weird. But what I mean by that is when you're moving to Warrensburg and you wanna know what's happening in our town, because oh my gosh, a whole lot is always happening in our town. You need to know where to look. So for example, we have this amazing group called Warrensburg Main Street, and they organize so many great activities in Warrensburg, from fundraisers like Piccadilly to cool beer wine walks that the Jingle Brew just happened. So just really great activities. They organize a lot of different like parades and events, Berg Fest, just so many cool things, but you need to know where to look. So I would personally recommend following the Visit Warrensburg page, my page, Warrensburg Main Street's page, Chamber of Commerce page, Parks and Rec page. I do a whole video on Warrensburg Parks and Recs in the community center. There's always some form of class or event going on. There's even things at the Warrensburg Community Center where you can pay a fee, show up there, and then go off on an adventure, like up to Kansas City, or they do trips to the zoo, they do this one thing where you don't even know where you're going, it's a mystery trip. So there's all sorts of really great groups and things that you can join if you just boop, 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 click join on a couple different groups online, and then you'll constantly get updates of what's happening in Warrensburg. Moving on to number 5, this is based on a question I get quite a bit. How far is Warrensburg from Whiteman Air Force Base? Now, this answer varies depending upon where in Warrensburg you live, but generally, anywhere in Warrensburg, it's between 12 and 25 minutes to get to Whiteman Air Force Base. So Warrensburg is like boop here, and then Whiteman Air Force Base is like boop in Knob Noster. So it's a very short trip, and you can go straight to there on 2 different, I say highways, but they're really just roads, DD Highway or 50 Highway. So those 2 roads are just boop, straight shots to Knob Noster and straight shots to Whiteman Air Force Base. Super fast, super easy. Number 4. Now this is kind of a big one. What is the housing market like in Warrensburg? That's such an all-inclusive question. It's like, oh my gosh, okay, where do I begin? So, the housing market in Warrensburg is super exciting, but it's also super competitive. And that's really for 2 reasons. The first is that we have the university and we have Whiteman Air Force Base. So we have a constant influx of new people every 2 to 6 years. And for the most part, because rents are also very high in Warrensburg and very competitive, it just makes more sense to purchase a house, especially if you're military and you have the ability to use a VA loan, meaning no money down. So it makes more financial sense to buy a house and then pay down, use your mortgage payment to, gain equity, pay down your mortgage, than it does to just throw that money away renting. Because of that, we have a super exciting housing market, because basically every 2 to 6 years, someone's gonna be buying or selling a house. That constant influx of people makes the market spicy, as I like to call it. Basically, our housing market is always going to be competitive. So if you're a buyer and you really like a house, probably a lot of other people do too. So you have to be more aggressive in Warrensburg, in my opinion, than in other areas because there's a lot more demand and honestly, there's just not a lot of supply. So, moral of that story is if you're buying a house in Warrensburg, one, it's gonna be a great investment because there's always people trying to buy houses. So you will probably, if you take good care of it, make money on that house when you sell it if you stay in it at least 2 years. But also, if you love a house, jump on it. Which leads me to number 3, something that I think everyone should know moving to Warrensburg if it applies to you, house hacking. Now, this is something that I talk to a lot of my clients about because it can be such a genius way to create a passive income for anyone, but especially younger airmen who have the ability of a VA loan and not have to put any money down and don't have like a giant family. So what do I mean by this? Okay, so instead of buying a single family home with your VA loan, if you are a single airman or if it's you and your partner or you and your partner and 1 kid, I don't recommend this for large families because it doesn't really work. But for some, instead of buying a single family home, you buy a duplex. And you can use your VA loan to buy a duplex. You can use an FHA loan to buy a duplex as long as you occupy it for at least a year, and you have to occupy it within 6 months. You buy a duplex, you live in one side, you rent out the other side, you have a property manager do that so you don't have to deal with it, and then you let your tenant basically pay your mortgage down. And then whenever you PCS out or you move away, you can actually then keep that duplex, rent out both sides, and then you still have your VA loan, or you can still use that to purchase something in a new state, a new area, but all of a sudden you have this fully rented duplex, which is basically now paying for your mortgage on your next property, the next place you live. It's brilliant. And then rinse and repeat. 5-10 years, you have multiple investment properties, and it's basically paying for your entire section of your life. So it's like, oh, I'm not really paying a mortgage. My tenants pay it for me. It's awesome. House hacking, check it out. Sorry, I get very excited about house hacking and that came off, I think, way more forceful than I thought. Anyway, I digress. Moving on, number 2. What are the best and the worst neighborhoods? So, I actually have videos on this. And another question that I get asked a lot, Eva, what are the bad neighborhoods in Warrensburg? Well, to tell you the truth, we really don't have any bad neighborhoods. We do have, because I do have a video, the 5 worst neighborhoods in Warrensburg, and I talk about that. I don't say that, oh, these neighborhoods are terrible. I say that compared to other neighborhoods that don't have houses that are like severe fixer-uppers in the neighborhood, or there's certain HOA areas where the HOA has completely been neglected, or there's areas that are in a floodplain. So there are some neighborhoods in Warrensburg, for example, the South Heights area, where there are some really great newer fixer-uppers in that neighborhood, but then there's also some houses that are just not pretty to look at. But I wouldn't say they're bad because Warrensburg doesn't really have any bad neighborhoods. What we do have are opportunities. So if you're willing to purchase a house in a neighborhood that's maybe not so sparkling and shiny new as, say, Cahill or Brookside or Hidden Pines, you're gonna get the price of your house is gonna be so much easier to afford, and in a couple years, there will be no even slightly shady neighborhoods in Warrensburg because we just have too many people moving here that want houses. They wanna buy houses. So I don't really look at neighborhoods as being bad neighborhoods. I look at them as being opportunities. On the flip side of this coin, we have, there's over 200 subdivisions and neighborhoods in Warrensburg, and I would say 90% of them are just great. Very family friendly, beautiful neighborhoods. I have videos on it, for example, Spring Ridge, Cahill, Lakeview, oh my gosh, Hidden Pines, Valley View. I could just go on and on and on. We have beautiful, beautiful communities in Warrensburg and in the country outside of Warrensburg, outside of city limits, there are just some gorgeous. I still actually find myself, because I randomly drive around and just do videos of areas of Warrensburg, and I stumble upon areas that I've never been to, like, oh my gosh, where did these giant houses come from? Where am I? So there's still some sneaky, beautiful areas out there that even I haven't seen. Oh my gosh, guys, it's the moment we've all been waiting for. What is number one on the list of things that you need to know before moving to Warrensburg? That number one thing is, I want to do it with this finger and not this sad finger. The number one thing that you need to know is there's no Target. There's still no Target. It's been years since I started complaining about this, and it still hasn't happened. And I keep hearing rumors on the grapevine that's, oh, Target's gonna come here, Target's gonna come here. There's no Target here still. If you want to go to Target like every sane, wonderful individual does, you still have to drive up to Lee Summit. It's about 30 to 45 minutes. Sorry, still sucks. There you go, guys. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you want to know anything else about Warrensburg, or if you think I missed something, comment below. And do not forget to like and subscribe, because I make a new video every single week. You're gonna want to get notified. Also, my contact information is right down there. So if you're coming here and you have questions that are not in this video, do not hesitate to reach out. Shoot me a text, call me, send me an email. I love talking to people. Talk to you soon. Bye.